Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Locked On Nationals podcast. And this might show up on the Locked On Mets feed. Who knows? It depends on how Ryan's feeling on that given day. This, once again, Locked On Nationals podcast. I am Josh Neighbors, the host of Locked On Nationals. Ryan Finklestein, the host of Locked On Mets, joins me. We're going to talk about these two teams heading into the season. I already talked Marlins with Peter Pratt. We're going through all the teams. We're talking Mets today. So we're going to break all that down. Also talk about some cherry blossom uniforms. That's coming up next.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, let's do it. We're talking Mets, talking Nationals with Locked On Mets host Ryan Finklestein. Ryan, appreciate you joining us as always. How are you, my friend?
Doing good. About a week away? 8 days away?
Yeah, I think what we are two clubs, as always, the Mets and the Nationals, a yearly tradition, are going to kick off things. Ironically enough, there's no more Scherzer versus DeGrom, which was how many years of that did we get? 3 or 4, I think.
At least, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That was pretty commonplace. Now it'll be DeGrom, Scherzer in Washington. Game 2. I gotta say they're probably gonna sell a lot of tickets for that second game, aren't they?
Yeah. Hell yeah. They're going to sell a lot of tickets for the second game. I will say this too. That game was always great because it was like, ooh, I can set my watch basically for 3 hours on the nose because these two boys, they don't give up too many runs. That was always a nice thing.
I was at the Scherzer DeGrom spring training game on Sunday, and it was 2 hours and like 45 minutes. It was just beautiful. And the Mets scored a ton of runs too. So
yeah,
for a game where they scored 7 runs, had like 12 hits, the game still flew by because you had DeGrom and Scherzer, man. I think I've watched him over the years, but for something about having been in the team you root for's uniform, I didn't notice how quick the dude works. It's insane. I mean, he is just firing pitches, and getting pissed off for any batter that dares to call timeout.
There's a certain amount of like, okay, I just did something positive. I'm about to go do it again. And I just missed a pitch. I want to go up there and do it again. Like to me, it's like that simple. Cause he's one of those guys. I mean, I don't think he has to search very far for things to fire him up, but like, I think that stuff like fires him up. He's like, okay, just,
he's like, for me, when I play golf, I never take a practice swing. Cause I'm like, what's the point? The practice swing sometimes can be better than the actual. So I just step up and hit it. Scherzer's that guy. He's not wasting time on practice swings. He's just getting right up to that ball and hitting it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure it'll be painful for Nationals fans to see that, and that's kind of the big story. But like, for the Mets, this is I'm not gonna say it's the year, but it is a year, right? And I think the goal for the Mets is not just to have the year, right? It's to have years plural. Now, obviously, who that entails is going to change, right? Max Scherzer, if he started dropping off a little bit sometime soon, I think there'd be some surprise. But like, he is old, and you can't do it forever, right? And so the Mets now with resources are trying to turn this thing into a window, right? That's the goal with this, with what they've been doing. Not just 2022, but 2023, 2024, because across the division, I mean, the Phillies are trying to create a window. The Nationals, are trying to recreate, I guess, find once again a window. And I feel like they think if they sign Juan Soto, that window could expand. The Braves, obviously, still very much want to compete, reigning world champions, and they're getting back Ronald Acuna. Sure, you lose Freddie Freeman, but you're kind of bringing back another star player in Acuna, so you're kind of supplementing that. That's the goal, right? Window.
Yeah, I think if you look what the Mets did this offseason, they're sort of setting up two different windows. There's this window now where it's this star-studded free agent bought team. That's the next 2 to 4 years, with the Scherzer contract being 3 years, the Marte contract 4 years, Escobar and Canna 2 years. There's this small window, and then the bigger window is the fact that they did not make any real significant trades to their farm system. So they did get Chris Bassett, but only give up one real prospect to do it. The future is trying to grow a farm system that can actually be there with the teams like the Dodgers that are able to really contend every year without having to win every offseason, making a bunch of signings and trades. So I think right now, this short-term team, it's about DeGrom, Scherzer, Marte, an old roster that's going to try to come together, win a World Series. And then the future is going to look a little bit different.
Yes. One thing I should get to is what do you think is going to happen with Michael Conforto? That's a conversation point right now. He
Yeah,
hasn't had a home. I want to give you a quick thought here. Did did Kyle Schwarber kind of market correct Conforto? Like, did Kyle
maybe.
Schwarber become the player that Conforto was supposed to be?
It's interesting because Schwarber last year was non-tendered, and then he gets almost 20 a year, 79 or for basically 20 a year. Conforto in the shortened season, I think I almost think it was bad for him in that he was
Yeah.
so good that it made him look at free agency and think that he was going to get like a George Springer type contract. And he probably turned down some extensions from the Mets that in retrospect he should have accepted. But at the time, I don't blame him at all. I've
Right.
seen this narrative that Conforto screwed up. The guy was coming off a season where he should not have taken a 7-year, $200 million deal if that's what the Met or seven for 100 or whatever the Mets were offering. I'm sure it wasn't what he was expecting to get. Now I don't know what's going on there though. It's very strange to have a free agent still out there. I guess Boris has done it with Keuchel. He held him out into the season, right? I think that was a Boris client, if I'm not
The
mistaken.
last year, right? He signed. Who was it with? I forget what year was it. I know you're talking about. He signed
He
like
he signed with the
middle of the
Braves, I
year.
think. I
The
think it was the
Braves like the middle
Braves.
of
I
the
think it was
season.
2019 because I remember it was my first year doing Locked On Mets, and yeah, I think it was. I think he signed in like May, and it was so weird. And then he eventually got the contract with the White Sox. But look, Conforto, he could go to any team, and I wouldn't be surprised. I have no idea what he's looking for. I don't know if it's the 1-year deal to go back into free agency, if he's holding out for the long-term deal, and that's why this is taking so long. But it is crazy every day he goes unsigned.
I will say I would. Like Nationals fans kind of wanted Schwarber back. I think it'd actually be interesting if they went and got Conforto.
It would
And
be smart
yeah,
to
I
take
actually
them on a
yeah,
1-year deal. I mean, I guess
right.
the one thing is the qualifying offer, but I think that you could probably get whatever comp pick you'd be giving up. I feel like you could probably get that back in a trade during the
Yeah,
season.
I think the thing is you'd be taking you're taking a risk. That's what you feel like, and I'm not sure the Nationals are too keen on taking risks. But you and I have talked about it. There's this balance between when you're kind of in the rebuild, like I kind of like. I think the Marte contract is like something that I would look like for a team of the Nationals. It's like okay, that's something that's taken care of. Check it off the
Yeah.
list, right? No matter if he, sure you might play bad, might play poorly, whatever, but you're signed up, and so it's a veteran guy. At least provides that presence, and so it's one area where you don't necessarily have to look for anything else. I kind of think those 3 to 4 year deals, and so Schwarber's contract, I actually think would work on the Nationals as well,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Okay, we know this is a good bat. We know we're going to put him in the lineup. We've seen him hit, albeit a small time in DC. This is a guy that we've invested in. Cross it off the list. We're not looking for Kyle Schwarber types. I actually think those contracts kind of translate well to a team like the Nationals because you think you're tanking, but also it takes care of something. You erase one question mark. But I'm really interested to see. And also, it feels like these guys in National League East just play musical chairs, right?
Yeah.
Like just always so much.
To stay in the division.
It is
Yeah.
just it's the number of guys where it's like that guy's played for the Braves, the guy's played for the Nationals, the guy's played for the Mets. So yeah, I think that's interesting. But I mean, I haven't looked at the over under win totals. Expectations are obviously to win the division, correct? Is that kind of where everybody sees it?
Yeah, I did see that the odds to win the division, I believe, Braves and Mets are both plus 150. So they basically have them as the two
Fair.
teams. If I remember, the Phillies might have been like plus 450 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the way people are looking at this division right now, it's Mets, Braves, and then the Phillies have basically just formed this team that's the ultimate puncher's chance team you've ever
Yes.
seen. It's just let's bash them to death, try to score 10 runs a game. No one can play defense. It's not even going to be. I cannot wait till we get the Bryce Harper in center, Castellanos in right, Schwarber in left outfield. I
Good
cannot
lord.
wait. At some point, it's going to happen. At some point, there's going to be some bat that they want to DH, in that lineup, whether it's a real Muto to get him off his feet at catcher or something else. And they're going to do that. And it's going to be incredible.
They're gonna have a weekend where they score like 40 runs and lose 2 of the games. That's gonna
Yeah.
that's absolutely gonna happen. Where it's like, oh well, they lost 15-14 game 1, 12-11 game 2, and scored 20 runs in game 3.
And the Phillies, the best part about bad defense is it doesn't always jump out at you. So Phillies fans are like, why are our pitchers always giving up these doubles? And it's because no one can run down a ball in the gap.
It's like okay. So I will say this though, there is sometimes where like their bad defense smacks you in the face.
Oh yeah, okay,
There
okay.
they had a game last year against the Nationals, ended up being like,
Did
I
he?
forget the score was. That there was some appalling defense. Like this is a little league game. I'm watching. Like, did anybody teach any of these players how to play? So I will say, it's this. Like if you're gonna suck, at least be entertaining type deal. I think actually it's kind of the Nationals. Have
That's
a little
actually
bit.
that's my take with the Nationals. I don't
Yes.
that's
Yes.
exactly what I think they did, and I think it what Rizzo did this offseason was like picture perfect for we're in a rebuild, but let's get fans at the ballpark. You bring back a
Right.
bunch of guys from the 2019 team on minor league deals, and then you get Nelson Cruz, which I honestly sneakily one of my favorite
Loved
signs of the
Nelson Cruz.
offseason.
Loved it. Always it made Juan Soto really happy.
Yep.
And the thing is, like the Mets saw it last year. Like it doesn't take much for this lineup to be very good. I really don't think the lineup's going to be the problem. Nobody's going to be talking about the Nationals' run scoring drought starting this season.
There's
It's
going
going
to
to
be
be
a
about
month, man. There's going to be a month like there was last year, where the Nationals are going to win like 10 out of 12, and people are going to be freaking out. Like, what is going on out there? It's going to be
right.
Soto and Cruz.
I think it's going to be a month where it's like they've played Colorado and they've played
Yeah.
they played Arizona. I think those will be the advantageous ones because look, it's last year. I mean, from a talent perspective, there's no doubt this is the best division, right? This is the best division
In the NL, I would think. Because
Yeah,
the AL East is
I guess
I would call
the
the
AL East
best.
has a case for it, but I mean, you think about like two of the three last world champions are in this division. Now I know the Mets have the Nationals, excuse me, don't have as many players from that, but like this division's produced two of the last three champions and the two last regular full season champions. So that just shows you that the GMs in this division, man, are they're hitting all the right buttons at least for right now. And the Mets, I mean, there's no way they're not good. I will ask you this: what is the biggest area of concern right now as we head into the season?
I would say that the biggest thing that was left unaddressed was the bullpen. But to me, it's not
Join the
even.
line.
Yeah, I don't even think it's every single year. There's 28 teams that go into the year not knowing what they're going to get out of their bullpen. There's only a couple that go into a season with complete confidence there. So really, maybe I think the one thing is also looking at what they're going to get from Taijuan Walker and Carlos Carrasco.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things. But I've been doing a lot of stuff ranking this division and going through the position groups. And to me, the Mets are just set up really nicely across the board. I actually don't think there is too much to be worried about until injuries start to pop up or something like that.
Right. We always, the injury. Well, that was the thing last year that really hurt the Mets was that they actually, and they tried to plan for it too, as much as possible. I mean, I remember you and I talking about, wow, all the depth, guys like Lucchesi and Yamamoto who were there just in case. And then they end up using like Robert Block in the middle of the season to pitch games to them. Right.
Stock.
And Stock. Yeah. Robert Block. Robert Stock. I mean,
Close. I mean,
the
pretty much the same thing, but I figured
no
I would
offense
correct
to
you
him.
just in case Robert Stock was listening.
No offense to him, but like that's where they were, and so you never know with the injury bug.
Jared Eichhoff.
Jared. Wow, that was bad. And then Tyler McGill, right? Another guy they had to bring in that we didn't think we'd see. So that can always happen. But as we saw last year with the Braves, like there is a way to fight through major injuries. It's really hard though when it comes to your pitching staff. Like that's just the one place where you really can't manufacture like multiple good pitchers out of thin air unless you're going to bullpen it like the Rays do, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's why Steve Cohen gave Scherzer the blank check, because last season, if you want to point to a single thing that created them that season, it was Jacob deGrom going down for the second half.
Yeah.
And now if that were to happen again, you have a Max Scherzer that can carry a rotation, and hell, you even have a Chris Bassett, which is what has me really high on the Mets going into the year.
All right. One quick word from our sponsors here. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Athletic Greens. If you guys want to feel better, start your day off right, Athletic Greens is the stuff for you. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals, or artificial anything, while still tasting good. supports better sleep quality and recovery, supports mental clarity and alertness. It's the one thing with the best things. Athletic Greens uses the best of the best products based on the latest science with constant product iterations and third-party testing. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is giving you 1 free year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs of their vitamin D supporting immune stuff with your first purchase. The 5 free travel packs threw me off, Ryan. I cannot read. Athleticgreens.com/MLB Network. It's athleticgreens.com/MLB Network. Take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, yeah, I'll read you the odds one more time. It's Braves plus 150, Mets plus 150, Phillies plus 325, Marlins plus 1400, and Nationals plus
Wow.
4,000.
Can we just start there?
Yeah,
I don't think that the gap between the Phillies and the Marlins is that great. Like
I don't think the Marlins and Nationals gap is that great.
Yeah. Well,
Plus 1,400 to plus 4,000?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
One team's got Juan Soto, one team doesn't.
Yeah, but one team has really good pitching.
That's true, but that lineup's not good. It's just not good enough. It's just, and that's going to show up. I mean, look, get ready for the Alcantara season where he's 11-10 with a 2.15 ERA because he can't score. The DeGrom special, right?
Yeah,
that's very much in play for them. I think.
I think that if going into this season, to me, I could see the Marlins putting it all together just because if you have good starters 1 through 5, you're going to win a lot of games. And I look at their rotation 1 through 3 with Alcantara and Rogers and Lopez. Like, that's a really good staff. And then they have some prospects like Max Meyer that is just looking great in spring training. So
yeah, the other kid they have too, Cabrera, I think, is a pitcher too. He's almost ready.
And remember, to me, they give off 2015 Mets vibes.
Nice.
But that Mets team, I mean, that lineup wasn't great, especially in the first half. It was when they added Cespedes and Conforto came up. So that's the only reason why I give them a little bit of a shot. But the Phillies, I just think it's kind of the opposite. I trust the bats. I don't trust the defense. And then that rotation's decent, but if one of their top 3 goes out, it's going to be pretty bad.
Well, not even goes out. I mean, doesn't pitch that well. Or like Noah's season last year will not get it done this year for them.
No.
And
you know what's weird too? I feel like he's the best pitcher for that team because he's the one that gets the strikeouts. Whereas like Wheeler has now turned into this guy that goes deep into games by pitching to contact. Same thing with Eflin and Kyle Gibson. They pitch to contact. Do you want to pitch to contact when you got Didi Gregorius, Alec Boehm, Castellanos, Schwarber? I don't know.
I do think you're right, kind of considering this, but I also liken it to the Nationals too. Like the Nationals, a flip version, right? Their pitching sucks, and at some point, I mean, they just don't have any pitching too, right? The two guys, Corbin was a complete disaster last year in Strasburg. We just haven't seen. He's just been non-existent.
Where does Anibal Sanchez end up?
He's going to make the rotation, which is
of course
crazy
he is.
part.
Is he 3? Is he 4? Is he?
He might be 2. I know. It's Josiah Gray. It's Josiah Gray. He's going to 2. Right now, you're looking at Corbin, Eric Fetty.
Oh yeah, Fetty.
Josiah. I'm not doing this in any order. Josiah Gray, Anibal Sanchez, and then I'm just there's a gaggle of folks who are fighting for the last spot. So they've got some options.
Joe Ross isn't there anymore.
Joe Ross is hurt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's recovering from an injury. He had a nice year last year. He had a really nice season.
I swear he's been with it. I feel like he's been with the Nationals for 15 years. I know he hasn't, but
he's only 29 too. And he hasn't hit arbitration yet, or he hasn't hit free agency yet because he skipped 2020, right? So he skips 2020, doesn't count as a service, service year. So he's not even hit that yet, which is, absolutely bonkers. And then the guy they're waiting on is Cade Cavalli, big prospect. He's actually going to pitch. So they're not having him pitch a spring training game today. He's pitching a simulated game, like an MLB simulated game. So they seem to think like he's done really well. There's a chance he makes the rotation. Really struggled in AAA. I think the worry is he struggled in AAA last year.
Unless you're rushing a guy, but if you're a team that doesn't have real playoff aspirations, and you have a pitching prospect that's close, I say throw him into the fire because even if he's bad the first year, it's going to make him better. I mean, you got to learn at the big league level. Might as well take your lumps when it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's fair. I
because
think it's very fair. Yeah. I
it
think you just want to put them in a competitive environment. You can support them more. Now, look,
yeah,
once again, the run support will be there, but it's, I mean, there's two sides to it, right? There is the put them in the fire, have them suck now, and it doesn't matter. There's also like the,
you don't want to set up to fail either, though. So
right? Are
I
you
see that
ruining his?
if you
Are you
really
putting too
don't,
much stock? Are you
yeah,
saying, look, we're so bad that we need you now? And because that's why it's like, they bring in John Lester last year. They bring in Anibal Sanchez. And I'm not a fan, Ryan, of guys whose age are going, I don't think anybody is. Their age is one way and their numbers are the, age up, numbers down, but we need a vet. So let's get a vet in here. We need John Lester. It's like, well, the guy's not going to make it out of the fourth and the bullpen's getting taxed like crazy. So how important is it to have a vet in here? I'm worried for Sanchez that that's going to be the case. His 2020 was such a disaster. An out and out disaster. It got like worse each game.
he had a lot of teams interested in that little tryout he had in
A bullpen. Everybody's like,
Hialeah
oh,
or
here
wherever.
comes Anibal Sanchez, and guess who scooped him up? The Nationals. But look, they're trying to find guys in the cheap that can hold down rotation spots. I understand why. When you got 60 plus million invested in Strasburg and Corbin, and one sucks and one's not pitching,
So
you might be like,
sometimes you just need guys who can just pitch and eat
throw
innings.
baseballs
That's
to
it.
catchers.
It's
Yeah.
almost like a BP pitcher. You just get some guys out there. You'll get your outs. You'll figure it out. It's
That's what I felt like when I was watching Jeffrey Rodriguez pitch like 3 or 4 times last season. That's kind of and Robert Block. Yeah,
And
having
you know what's great about baseball? There's always a day when Anibal Sanchez can give you 7 scoreless because baseball is baseball, where guys just hit rockets right at people, and, and you can make it through a start.
Well, yeah, because that's why this is my argument for there being too many games. It's like, look, you can just suck for 2 months, and it's like he's back or Team X is back, right? The Nationals 1931, right? We always talk about that.
Yeah.
It is the sport where where that is possible, but there, I don't want hey, once in a blue moon he'll give you 6. Like, great, once in a blue moon he'll give us 6. That's what we're gunning for here in the rotation. Is that
Yep.
what the goal is? So. Yeah, I think that's one thing to look at. I right now, do you think the Mets win the division?
I think the Mets make the playoffs. It's kind of a
Yeah,
cop
which
out of
all it
an
matters.
answer,
Which is really
but
all it matters.
I think the Braves are really good too. So
Yeah,
I believe that at the end of the season, there's going to be 2 teams with over 90 wins in this division. It's going to be the Mets and the Braves, and then I think that maybe the Marlins have an outside shot at a wild card. I think for them it'd just be good to get over 75 wins. And then I feel like the Phillies are going to be in the real wild card hunt, where the Phillies are going to be like battling out with the whoever the team's coming out of the Central. If it's the Brewers or the Cardinals, whichever team's not winning that division, the Padres, the Giants, like they're going to be in that mix for that 4th wild card spot, I think.
Do you think our friend Dan Wilson, who last year tweeted all the sign for the Seinfeld meme of even Steven, do you think he'll be doing that a lot again this year? Do you think it's going to be like, 1, 2, like 1 loss, win, loss,
Yeah.
win, loss, or is it going to be like 5 wins, 5 losses, 6 wins, 5?
I think
what
they
do you
could be.
think?
They'll be streaky. They'll be
Yeah,
streaky
yeah,
because it's going to come down to those hitters, and that's honestly, I've had this take that I feel like the Phillies will do better in the playoffs in the regular season, just
fair.
because you look at that team and you could see Schwarber hitting 6 home runs in 5 games, and
Almost Daniel
shocking.
Murphy type shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
almost Daniel Murphy type
seeing
level.
the Phillies beat the Dodgers in the play, that would be great. If somehow the Dodgers ended up in the wild card round and the Phillies were knocked them out.
Well, who the hell would want to face? That lineup in the playoffs.
That might be the scariest
Horrifying.
wild card round 3-game series team. You don't want to go up against that lineup. I mean, and even they could throw out Wheeler and Nola. I mean, it's not
Wait, hold on.
bad.
They made the wild card 3 games. Is that what they did?
I think it's a 3-game
Thank
wild card
God.
round.
Thank God. Did you find it ridiculous where it's like we're going to play 162 games and we don't play standalone games in baseball, right? They're all at least
Yeah.
in 2-game series or 4-game series, and they had the 5s for COVID and scheduling, whatever. But we're going to do a 1-game playoff. Like, that's not how our
Yeah.
sport works. I'm glad it's a 3-game series. So
Yeah, and it gives you basically it's going to be a 3-game series. The one division winner, I guess, I think one division winner gets a bye. So the 2 division winners will host, and the top wild card team will host the bottom 3 wild cards.
And for folks who are wondering, this Joker doesn't know why the hell does he not know? I've made a pact that with every single sport, I'm going to check on the first day of the season to see what the rules are, because with the MLB, they're still actually hammering out some details of like some of the things that are going to happen. Right. I think the 28 players in April came out like a week and a half.
We still don't know if it's official though. They're still not decided on it.
So once again, this is why I've decided I'm going to wait till day one. And I'll be like, all right, how many games are we playing? Okay. How many playoff teams do we have?
Is there ghost runners this year?
I think that, and there are, correct? We decided yes on that.
I think they are. Yeah.
Thank God for that. I'm really glad. All right. So have you done the predictions yet for what the Mets lineup looks like? Have you done that whole?
I have been predicting what I believe. I can run through it if you want me to.
Just lay it on me. Let's hear it.
All right. So I would imagine it's going to be either Starling Marte or Brandon Nimmo batting leadoff. The other one's going to bat second. You got Marte's going to be the right fielder this year. Nimmo in center. Batting third will be Lindor likely at short. You got Alonso at first. Maybe Escobar batting fifth to give more pop. You'll be at third. You got Jeff McNeil in the lineup at second. Mark Canha in left, and then Tomas Nido and or James McCann, depending on who they want to go with at catcher. One of those guys who's basically in there for the glove more than anything else.
Well, we know McNeil and Lindor have great chemistry in the middle infield, so I'm sure I'm sure
it's still overblown though. Like the fact that there was a contingent of Mets fans that wanted Jeff McNeil, a player coming off his worst season, traded this offseason because these guys couldn't put behind some argument that happened last May was ridiculous to me.
I don't think, well, to me, so here's my read on it. You know better than me. I don't think it was just that. I don't think they particularly get along real well. Yeah, and I could see why, because they're pretty different personalities.
They are, but I think that when you're first of all, if you're Jeff McNeil and you were on the block because of this, I think that makes it where you're probably going to be trying to smooth things over, because no player wants to get traded from the team that drafted them and everything, right, especially a team that is going for it and looking to be a contender. So I think Jeff McNeil knows that he has to make things right. I'm pretty sure they have. I just don't think that that's going to carry over into this season. I could be wrong, but I really don't think it will. I think when you have common goals, everyone's trying to win, I think you can put that stuff aside. And I think that those arguments happen more because the Mets were losing. It's harder to be happy in a clubhouse that is, free falling in the standings.
All right. One quick word from our sponsors at Built Bar. Go to built.com today. It's built.com to find all the delicious Built Bars that they have there. They're good. They're good for you. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. Candy bars usually have 240 in the calories department, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Say no to the candy bar. Say yes to Built Bar. Mint brownie, coconut almond are just a few of their flavors. Go to built.com today. It's built.com. Promo code LOCK15, LOCKED 15 LOCK15 to get 15% off on your first order. Once again, promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. All right, Ryan. So I just want to ask you, does this put the fear of God into you? I mean, are you concerned about these uniforms the Nationals will be wearing? Are you horrified of the flowers on the jersey? It's, if they wear those 20 times this year, it's worth at least 5 wins, I think. Right?
Probably.
I think it's, yeah.
Now, is that a higher? If they go 5 and 15 of those jerseys, is that a better winning percentage than they're going without those jerseys?
No, I'm going to say no. I'm just saying like
if they were to boost. It's like 5 wins at it.
Yeah, plus exactly.
So if they would have won 7 out of 20, now they're going to win 12 out of 20 and be over 500 in those jerseys.
Yes.
Got you. Yeah, I'm terrified. I don't know.
What are your thoughts on them now? What do you think? What do you think of them?
I'm not the big jersey guy. I don't get to. I don't have strong opinions on jerseys.
I don't either, actually.
I was editing last week someone who went into great lengths for just baseball, ranking the best uniforms in the game, and I just didn't have an opinion on any of it. Let me just check and make sure the grammar's good, because I don't care.
I see. That's me too. I don't really care. Now, this is something that fans have wanted to see for a long time, so I'm glad for them.
There's been a clamoring for the cherry blossom.
There has.
Why?
This sounds absurd to say. For years, there has been clamoring because I guess it's such a staple. It's like a staple of DC. It's like,
okay.
I believe it's like the flower, right? And they're all over DC. And the thing is, the fall, when spring comes, the cherry blossoms are blooming. The Wizards made theirs, and much more of a fashion statement They went with the blossom color as the base color, which is very NBA of them.
Yeah.
Very NBA of them to do.
I'm a Heat fan. I've seen some jerseys the last couple of years.
I just want to ask you before we get out of here too. Are you okay? Are you okay? I see the Heat are just absolutely just
doing all
tanking.
right. Doing all right. You know, they beat the Kings. Who doesn't? But they did beat the Kings. So
Nice.
feeling a little better to end a 4-game losing streak. So I'm okay. I'm okay going into the playoffs. Not as confident as I was 2 weeks ago, though.
Will Jimmy Butler punch Spoelstra before the season's over, you think?
I'm one of those Heat culture annoying people that was like, oh, it's good for the team. You want to see it.
Hash it out. It's what family does.
Exactly.
That's what family does.
Dwayne Wade yesterday on NBA TNT said that's a Tuesday for the Heat. That just means they're going to the playoffs.
Actually,
I was like, all right.
So I actually think with Jimmy Butler, like this is what you get. And I think it's important that you keep in line too. I'm sure you're very familiar with the story, the Rachel Nichols story, where he came into practice and like run with the threes and was just yelling. And so he used to be
didn't shoot a shot.
He was just yelling like horrible things at Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns, who were the two young stars at the time, and calling them awful names. He was late to practice, did that, and then did an interview with Rachel Nichols afterwards where he told her that he was not happy. It was really a scene. And this is like, I used to think he was a bad teammate. I'm kind of back in the good teammate thing. This is just what you get with him sometimes, right? It's just going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. He's just you want him to be pissed off on the court because he plays better. You just want to kind of rein it in. So yeah, right. It's
little Max Scherzer-ish.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah. Kind of that bulldog mentality. I can see that for sure.
Yeah. All right, Ryan. You and I are going to be talking later. We're doing a crossover, talking about the entire NL East. But I appreciate you coming in and previewing the Mets with us today. Where can people find you and your work and all of its variety?
So you can find me on Twitter at Finklestein Ryan. You can find Locked On Mets wherever you get your podcasts. And I also do writing as the managing editor of Just Baseball at justbaseball.com.
Ryan Finklestein, we appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, for sure.